So this is my first winter steelhead trip of the 2021-2022 season. I spent all of December filming and editing, putting out Steelhead December, and so I kind of missed out on some opportunities. I understand that, but today it's January 1st. It's my first trip. I'm super excited about it. Obviously, the river is super high. So I've got my kind of high water jig set up here. So I should mention, when the water is high, fish generally aren't going to hold in the same water that they would during normal flow. So they're going to be tighter to the bank. So try to find those spots where there's kind of softer water right along the bank's edge. And that's kind of what I got going on right here. So I'm going to start out with a Nightmare jig. It's a 1/4 ounce. I've got an AF7 on here. This is 30 pound super slick. I'm using my 1142 G.Loomis E6X. I've got an old Stradic 2500 on there. I spliced on about 8 foot of Ultragreen 10 pound test line, and I've got it tied directly to my Aero jig just because the water's colored, so I'm not concerned about them seeing the line at all. So let's hope for a first cast fish. What do you say? Get 2022 started correctly. Try to get my bearings here. I'm going to keep this pretty short for the first cast. I'm going to cast just right out in front of the bank here. Just right along this edge. Looks like it's dragging just a little bit. It's not super deep along that edge. There's a rock right there. Yeah, I think it's dragging a little bit. Let's reel in. Let's pull that up just a little bit for the next cast. It's dragging just a little bit. It's best to have an uninterrupted float. You want that float to be as upright as possible. So I'm kind of mending my line. Right in there, there's that boulder. Sometimes fish sit behind it in high water. Fish laying in there. No? Oh. So with each cast, I'm going to cast just a little bit further out. Now that I'm getting out a little bit further from the bank, I need to adjust my bobber to where it's fishing a little deeper. Nightmare jig works good in colored up water, and it works good in clear water. It hits all colors of the spectrum with that white, black, and red. Alright, so jigs didn't work, so now I'm going to try a bead. I've got a size 12 Sweet Pink Cherry BNR soft bead on here. Okay, here we go. Good old Sweet Pink Cherry. I've got a 1/4 ounce AF6 Aerofloat on here. I've got a 1/4 ounce Dave's stick weight. Okay, again, I'm going to start close to the bank. And I'm going to keep working my way out. Had me thinking. So if you get a bobber down with a bead, you just want to tighten up your line. I'm using these little Bloodrun Skeena hooks, and they're super sharp. So once I just tighten my line, it pretty much sets that hook. Plus they're such small diameter wire, I don't want to bend it out by some big giant Bassmaster hook set. Keep working my way out. I'm actually going to get closer to the water. Kill myself here. I should mention with bead fishing, it's kind of opposite of jig fishing. You want your float to be pointed downstream, just ever so slightly. You don't want it dragging, but if it's tapping the bottom, that's a good thing. Deep into that. Come on, sweet pink cherry. Got to keep mending that line, just like if you're jig fishing. You don't want it getting pulled downriver. Not too fast anyway. Oh, for a second there I was like, what is my bobber doing? Oh, Vanford. So nice to have you back in my hand. So if you can see this, I've got a rubber bobber stop underneath. And the reason that that's there is if I get my swivel hung up and I break off at the swivel, I might not lose my float. The other thing is once you cast, it doesn't take that float as long to get to the top bobber stop. So you're fishing faster. Let's give that a shot. Madroon, King Haze. First cast. Nice thing about a worms, I think that the float isn't quite as important as it is with a marabou or a hackle jig. It's kind of flip-flopping around a little bit. It still looks like a worm down there to the fish. You just want that blade just barely thumping. Obviously starting out close. And then I'll just keep increasing my casting distance a little bit. Nice thing about using a casting rod for spinners is you can kind of extend your drift by just free spooling a little bit. So I believe it was Bill Herzog who said ring the dinner bell. And the way I took that is let that spinner blade, he was referring more to spins, but let that hit the bottom. I kind of let it unwind a little bit once it gets a little bit of a twist in it. I've got a swivel built into the eye, but nonetheless, try to limit your line twist. Ooh, man, I thought I had to bite it. I just kind of grabbed the current and went for it. When the river is high, I sometimes carry 4 rods so I can fish all 4 of my favorite techniques without retying. A jig rod, bead rod, drift rod, and a spinner rod. And I fish them in that order as seen here. I realized the 1/4 ounce AF6 float wasn't cutting it with a heavy surface chop, so I swapped it out with an Aerofloat AF5 1/2 ounce with a 1/2 ounce Dave's stick weight. It's important to make adjustments as necessary if your float isn't fishing well due to the river level. I'm going to record this just in case I fall in for a comic from comedic. Is that a word? Value? From a tree. Let's start with this seam right along this edge right here. David caught a few there a number of years ago. I don't know if we've ever replicated it. Let's just try. Basically right along that edge of that. I'm just going to switch to a bead and see if I can make something happen. Let me just see if I can get into this backwater over here. See if I can pick into this fish. It's probably sitting in there. Oh, fish right there! Yeah! I don't know if it's a steelhead though. Oh, it's a steelhead. Nice! I just thought, well, I'll try over here. Yeah, it's a steelhead. I don't think it is. I guess we're gonna see it right now. Another coho. Let's see what we got. Oh, it's a steelhead. Not a gang. That's steelhead. It's not a big. Seems like it's a pretty big fish. This is kind of a dicey spot. Almost. It's a native. Here we go. Let's see if I can just kind of get down here with it. Let's see if I can just hand line it. It's a pretty good sized fish. Ease of operation. Here it comes. Ooh, and there it goes. That's okay, it was a native. That was awesome. I'll take it. I hope I caught that on camera. That was freaking sweet. Ah, that's what it did. Look at that. It actually broke off probably right at the hook. It's okay. All right, let's retie and get back in there. 14mm sweet pink cherry being our soft bead on that one. So y'all can see what I'm using here. Let me let this come out a little bit here. So I've got a bobber stop. I've got a bead, an AF5 ½ ounce float. I've got a second bead and a rubber bobber stop. And then I have that to one of my T-swivels, like a drop barrel swivel. And I have 30 inches of 10-pound P-line salmon steelhead fluorocarbon. It's a number 14mm BNR soft bead on the T-stop, and that's a number 1 Skeena hook, Bloodrun hook. My bumper is 15-pound test P-line CXX. And that was the money right there. Let's see if I can get another one. That was awesome. I was just running this along this edge right here. David had hooked a bunch in here a long time ago, and I have tried it. I've tried to duplicate it. I can't tell you how many times I've never hooked anything here. I think it's just because the water's super high right now. Oh, and there's another one. Oh. Oh. So let's calm it down. Put my rod in the water. Because I'm not going to be able to chase it. It kind of looked like a salmon. I wonder if it's a coho. Kind of looked like a seam, and it's a strong fish. If it runs downriver, I'm done. Oh! It broke off. Wow. Where did it break? Holy moly, look at that. It broke my line like right in front of my swivel. Oh God. Oh no. What is my problem? I guess I should be, I guess next time I'll tie up with some little bit. I've actually got 15 pound. I can actually bump up to 15 pound. Thing is just strong. I can't believe that. 2 fish and 2 casts, right? I have to say, I'm gonna have to look at the film. It was hard to tell, but that looked like a salmon. All right, can we do 3 in a row? All right, let's try 3 in a row. Right on the edge. Pretty good, dude. Yeah, not 3 in a row. So yeah, I think the key to success for today was upping my float size. I had a 1/4 ounce Aerofloat AF6 on here, and I swapped out to a 1/2 ounce. It's the AF5. And so I switched from the stick weight, the 1/4 ounce, to a 1/2 ounce. It's pretty big, you can see that. And I think that's just was able to get it down in that water column enough to get some hookups finally. 14mm Sweet Pink Cherry BNR soft bead was the bead for the day. It's that one right there. Let's see if I can get that in the camera lens. It's using a #1 Skeena Bloodrun hook. So that's that. But I'm not going to complain. Anytime I can hook a steelhead, even if I technically lost both of those. The first one was a native. I had it close a couple times. I was just trying to figure out how to get it in the net or hand line it, and it finally did this crazy run, jumped, and just, so, oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna get changed out and head home. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.